So, hello, good morning to everyone. Welcome back to the second day of the NSCAC Soccer Hub Online Summit. Today we'll have four more panels during this morning and the beginning of the afternoon. We will start with a panel dedicated to university soccer. Should Canadian players aim to play in Canada or in the United States? And for that, we have invited Kosmas Mouratidis, Payvand Mossavat, Mike Rocca, and Frank Iaizzo. So I'm going to introduce first Kosmas, that will be moderating this panel. Okay, hello Kosmas, how are you?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, Frank, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm gonna leave so I can put Payvand in, and the word is yours, Kosmas. Okay, see you in a bit. Thank you.
Waiting for Payvand, and he should be in momentarily. Excellent. Gentlemen, afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. It is going to be an interesting conversation. You all have experiences in the collegiate game, having played and or been involved in it in a variety of facets. I would like to introduce Frank, who is a former U.S. college player and is currently serving as the athletic director for International Football Club. Payvand Mossavat, who is at Ontario Tech, now serving as the head men's and women's soccer coach, and Michael Rocca, who is the managing director of Rated Sports. Guys, welcome and thank you once again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah,
it's a blistery day here in Toronto, a bit colder than we'd like, but we'll get through this because we're all indoors. Our topic today revolves around Canadian and American soccer, and the recruiting process perhaps that goes into both areas. Having been involved on both sides of the border as a coach here and down south, I can add some input, but I would very much welcome you directing the conversation. Think about this in our first portion, and I'll leave it open, perhaps asking one of you individually to chime in at your leisure. Do you think, in your estimation, that the opportunities afforded to players in our youth system in Ontario and in Canada are equal to the ones afforded to the players down in the US once they finish their secondary education? And maybe, Payvand, as you're currently coaching at Ontario Tech now, maybe you can start us off with that one and your thoughts, and then please just chime in as we go along, and I look forward to your input.
Yeah, I think if your question is, are the opportunities the same or are they similar? I believe we're still, unfortunately, not close to what the sort of American schools have to offer, but we've gone better. When I look back to where we started, maybe even from my time of playing, had a pleasure of playing with you, Mike, 1 year at U of T. From that period, excuse me for a second, let me just close this door here.
Technical difficulties. We'll get through that in a second.
Sorry about that. As we had this conversation sort of, many times over the passing, we're still far from, the finances and the facilities and what's offered in the United States, but we've come a long way. We have to compare ourselves to where we were, 30 years ago, even 15 years ago when I started coaching, 16 years ago when I started coaching. The coaching's got better. There are more resources available to players. There's more funding available to players. We've hired more professional coaches and full-time coaches within programs. There's more funding available in within our programs. So we've come a long way. We're still not there, but we've come a long way.
Excellent. Frank, your interpretation, having played down south at the University of Wisconsin and now being up here with the International Football Club as an athletic director, what do you see that's happened or is happening or is transpiring as you move along in your career as a coach?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me, Cosmo? Can you repeat that?
Frank, sorry, for you, please. I can repeat it. Having played down south at a big-time Division I program, and seeing what's available down there, and now being here in your capacity as an athletic director at the International Football Club, do you see a disparity in what's offered, and what do you see that is a positive and or a negative with regards to American versus Canadian soccer recruiting and playing?
Well, there are some obvious differences, but typically I like to refer to their revenue sports, which would be basketball, football, and hockey. But from a soccer perspective, I think there are a lot of similarities. I think the resources here are improving, as Payvand mentioned, and so that's always great for Canadian talent that's looking to continue their undergraduate here. Obviously we had certain privileges because we were sharing a lot of the resources with the revenue sports, as I mentioned, football or hockey or basketball. But overall, I think there are strides improving in Canada every day, and it's something that's a lot more viable for Canadian athletes to play at a high level and continue to gain support. And the way I look at it, a lot of it comes down to the dollars. If you're, for instance, an in-state student and you're not receiving top dollars, you're really not paying much more or less than a Canadian athlete that would continue to play locally. So the differences, in my opinion, are minimal. Now, obviously, when you're sharing the resources of some of the revenue sports, there are advantages, but not all schools have those privileges. And I was just a bit more fortunate to have that going to a D1 Big Ten school. But again, there's a lot more common, and there's a lot more improvements happening at the Canadian collegiate level that I think it's certainly going to make it more interesting for Canadian talents when they have to make decisions.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.